Returning to our top story now, Australia's most significant defence review in decades will be released today, with domestic spending expected to more than double over the next 4 years. Joining us live, the former Rear Admiral of the Australian Navy, Mark Purcell. Mark, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. A big day ahead. So a few details have dropped this morning, including the purchase of long-range precision-strike missiles. They'll be fast-tracked, while funding will be doubled for a new domestic guided weapons industry. What are your thoughts on those 2 points?
Yes, good morning, Peter.
We might have to just...
very big today. What we're seeing...
We just had an issue there at the start of that, Mark. Can you just start your answer again and we'll see if we can proceed with this connection?
Yeah, good morning, Peter. I hope this connection's a bit stronger for you now.
That's much better. Okay, let's kick it off again. So what are your thoughts on those first 2 points?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is a real adjustment in Australian defence policy. And as the Minister Richard Marles has highlighted, he's really after impactful projection. So what we're seeing is a range of projects, a range of long-range missiles for both the land environment, the Army and the Navy have been announced. Obviously, the AUKUS submarines has been previously announced, and then much speculation around other elements of impactful projection. Long-range amphibious watercraft for the Army and a reinvigoration of the bare bases across Northern Australia in order for the Air Force to be able to use those as power projection points.
Okay, just looking at the Army for a second, because there were some interesting weekend reports. There was a drop on Saturday, let's call it that, claim plans for infantry fighting vehicles. That's basically newer versions of APCs. They'll be cut from $450 to $129. That's to save billions of dollars, so other stuff can be bought. Is that a worthy trim in modern day warfare?
I think what we're seeing is a reprioritisation, and reprioritisation, adjusting as your strategic circumstances, is a good thing. The Defence Strategic Review has had a look at the situation and decided that the priority is around long-range missiles for the Army, and as I mentioned, potentially long-range amphibious watercraft for the Army. That necessitates, I guess, a reduction in the priority around these infantry fighting vehicles.
Some feathers within the Army have been ruffled, that its position has been downgraded in favour of the Navy. Do you think that's happening?
I think the whole Defence Strategic Review has probably been conducted in concert with the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and of course the joint capabilities. And what it's tried to achieve is a joint outcome that focuses on the current strategic realities that we're seeing at the moment. We've got a land war in Europe. We've got increased tensions in the South China Sea. We've got a real deterioration in the global security situation. And so my understanding of the Defence Strategic Review report due out today is that it's taken all of those into account and it's tried to deliver the best outcome to position Australia to be ready for these changing circumstances.
So do you believe that any arm of the Defence Force has been prioritised or not, has been put in front of the other?
As I said, I think it's all about impactful projection, and I see major capability enhancements for the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, as well as the joint capabilities. So the Army, in terms of these long-range land strike missiles, the HIMARS system, which was announced last month, the potential long-range amphibious watercraft are capabilities that the Army has never had before, and therefore the Australian Army will be conducting operations the likes of which it's not seen in the past.
And not to mention sea mines.
Yeah, a whole bunch of advanced technologies. So sea mines, quantum computing, hypersonics. There is this AUKUS Pillar 2, which is all about how do we accelerate technology sharing and information sharing between our partners, the US, the UK and Australia, and a whole bunch of activities there. Artificial intelligence, robotics and autonomous systems, I think, is going to feature very heavily.
I suppose, getting back to that point, Navy v Army, I suppose it makes sense that a Navy would be injected further because, if war were to ever break out with China, I mean, much of it would happen in the sea given we're surrounded by water.
Yeah, well, we are an island nation, girt by sea, and we have vast amounts of our trade, both cargo coming across on shipping, but also undersea telecommunications. The majority of the internet services, the telecommunications services, the financial transactions that Australia has go through the seabed, and having a strong maritime capability. And don't forget, in Australia, we very much talk about joint capabilities. So in the maritime environment, we have contributions from the Air Force, the Army and the Navy.
Okay, so do you believe that the Army is being weakened here?
As I said, I think the priorities, the strategic circumstances have changed. And therefore, what we're seeing is a shift in the land environment, a shift in the maritime environment, and deprioritising things like infantry fighting vehicles and increasing the priority for...
Yeah, I'll just try. It looks like we're having a connection
land
issue.
Strike missiles. Increasing.
I'll just try one more, Mark. Just a fuller picture of what do you believe a fuller picture of the classified version of the DSR would reveal?
I would have envisaged that the classified version of the DSR would go into much detailed analysis about the region, about the Indo-Pacific region, who the major actors are. It would also go into the global situation. So what's happening there? Obviously, we have a land war in Europe, which is terrible. We have a deterioration of the global security arrangement, and I imagine the classified version of the Defence Strategic Review would go in detail.
Okay, good to have you with us, Mark. That's Mark Purcell there, retired Australian Navy Rear Admiral. Thanks for your time.